afternoon.
Todd, no Elijah can't see you practice today. I know you're big on you got to practice to be able to play. Are you at a point where you're ready to maybe rule him out of week one with that calf injury, or does he have a chance to play if he practices tomorrow?
He still has a chance to play. We're not ruling him out.
How overall plays with the health of the team? It seemed like Winfield and Britt and Dennis and Diaby, a lot of guys that were uncertain last week, seems like are able to go out there and play and practice.
It's good to have him back. Just got to get the mental part of it down, but they're running around pretty good.
Todd, you've had training camp and preseason to kind of assess your team heading into the season. What is the strength of the Buccaneers?
Well, you have to be determined. Obviously, you got to get a lot of kinks out the way the first couple of games. The trick is to win while you're doing it. So we feel like we got a lot of strengths, and until we settle in what we are around week 4 or 5, we'll see. We feel like we're great in a lot of areas, but you got to play the games to be sure.
I know Baker obviously didn't play a lot in the preseason. What progress have you seen from him throughout OTAs, training camp, and to this point?
Just grasping the offense and making it his. Just the mental part of the game. There's so much you have to learn installing the new offense as far as audibles and getting us into the right plays and everything else. I thought both of them, for the most part, did a great job at that, but Baker really kind of took off on it the last 2 weeks.
How has Baker made this offense his?
Just understanding it, getting us in and out of plays, knowing what he likes and what he doesn't like, understanding what he can see and what he can't see, and just kind of tailoring it to him a little bit.
Coach Canales had said that for him, it was after the first preseason game, you guys had an indoor practice, and he just chunked one deep to Mike Evans, I believe, and he just said that was kind of the combination of that first preseason game and then that play right there kind of was that aha moment for him, like, okay, I think Baker's the guy. Was it like that for you, or did you have a moment for you where it gave you that conviction that he would be your starter?
I didn't have a moment. I had maybe about 2 weeks ago, there was a point in practice where he was comfortable with everything, and he was completing a lot of balls, and he wasn't thinking about it, and the ball was coming out of his hand. And you can see that he had it down without thinking, and that probably sold me.
Todd, Mike Evans' agent had put out word that they've set a deadline of Saturday for any negotiations on a new deal, and if there isn't one by then, they'll stop negotiating. Is that something where you guys can compartmentalize that, and he's still here and practicing and doesn't change things, or is that something that impacts him, his position with the team, with you?
Doesn't change anything. Mike's in great shape. He's ready to go for the season. He's excited about it. There's a business side of football, as we all know. That takes care of itself, but there will be no distractions on our part.
Todd, they've got a lot of new faces on defense, new coordinator. How do you go about preparing for them? You study Brian Flores? Or?
It's different because he's been in a few places, obviously. Pittsburgh, Miami, New England. Brian's a very sharp guy. Probably learned a little bit from each place and culminated. You can kind of see a few things in the preseason. I'm sure they'll have some new wrinkles just like we will. Got to read our keys and get a grasp of it as early as possible and make adjustments.
Todd, Jefferson gets a lot of attention, obviously, a lot of focus. But they got a new receiver in Addison, and the tight end is dangerous. Talk about their weapons besides Jefferson.
Got a ton of them, They got a ton of them. Obviously, the first-round pick comes in, did a lot in college. We know what he can do. We scouted him pretty good. Hawkinson, when he got to Minnesota, he made a heck of a bunch of catches. They got 2 running backs that can play. They got third receiver, 17. Is maybe the most dangerous of them all because he can block, run, and catch. So he does a bunch of things, and they got 3 tight ends, so you're going to see different guys at all times. It's not just Jefferson. If you try to take Jefferson away, the other guys will kill you, so it's going to be a slippery slope.
What are you looking most forward to seeing on Sunday?
Hopefully seeing us win. I'm not looking forward to seeing anybody. As long as we can win, I'm good.
As young as this team is, obviously it's a team that you'd think those guys will develop as the season goes. What is the challenge in having a younger lineup ready to go in week 1 when so much of this is new for them?
Just the mental part, making sure they understand the game and the things that could happen to them and not overloading them and making sure they play fast.
Now, what has impressed you the most with Sean Tucker, as it looks like in the first depth chart here? He's slated behind Rashad White at running back.
Just his work ethic. He's a very talented guy. I mean, he earned it. We didn't give it to him. He sat there and saw the same preseason we saw. We go by production around here, and Sean came back. He came into camp with a purpose. He practiced like that. He played in preseason like that. He's continuing to play like that, and he's earned it.
Speaking of the running back group, Rashad White, what have you seen from him year over year?
Well, it's only the second year, first year really starting. The maturity in which he has handled things has been great. You know, you can have a second year guy be a rookie mentally because he hasn't played, but Rashad hasn't been like that. He's always trying to learn new things. I think he's a tough back. I think he's itching at the opportunity to get a chance to run the ball, and we like where he's at.
How much is this offense going to help him produce?
Well, as long as the offensive line blocks, it'll help him a great deal. You know, that's in any system. But he's a sharp guy. He can play in any system. Rashad's just one of them backs. He can go outside and inside. He can catch the ball and he can block. So we just look forward to him having a healthy and a good year.
Carl Nassif came out and said that he's retiring from football, and you were part of a team that gave him not one but two opportunities, or I should say he earned those opportunities. But just can you speak to what kind of player he was for you and his legacy maybe on the NFL?
Carl was probably one of my favorite players. Just the energy he brought to practice every day, the effort he gave when he was out there. Always had a smile on his face, but he played with such tenacity. He played with such heart. You weren't going to bully him or run him over. He did a lot of things well. He had a good career while I was around him, and I was just happy to be a part of it.
So I didn't notice that Keyshawn Vaughn wasn't out there during the open part of practices, or what's his status?
We'll see tomorrow. He was out. He's healthy. It was personal reasons, and we'll deal with it tomorrow and see where he's at.
Is that an excused absence?
No, it's not an excused absence.
What are your expectations, Todd, for the offensive line in terms of physicality? I think you were pleased with that aspect against the Ravens in the preseason finale, but that's the preseason. I'm talking about 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts, where you got to push. What are your expectations in that regard?
We got to be able to get a yard when we want to. When they know it's coming and we know it's coming, we still got to be able to get it. Toughness is always the first thing on the offensive line. Assignment football is the other thing, and technique is the other thing. So we're looking to continue that, and hopefully we get better at that during the year. We showed some signs of it in the last preseason game, and the proof is in the pudding. Regular season, we feel like we got a good group, so we'll go from there.
Do you think the 2 new guards will help in that regard, Todd?
I think they're tough enough to help. We just got to push it. It's all willpower at that point when you got to get a yard.
Coach, in regards to starting on the road, maybe with some of the younger guys, do you like starting on the road and maybe get them into that routine so they can get that under their belt right away?
And for us, we don't look at road or home other than the fans. The field's the same. The grass or the turf is the same. It's 100 yards. We know what we got to do. We've been on the road before. Even the new guys that's come in, they've probably been in bigger crowds than we've been in because some of them stadiums hold over 100,000. So we're comfortable where we are playing. So we just got to have a good plan and be ready.
Is this one of the tougher places to play? I know that crowd gets pretty loud up there with the Skull chants.
I don't know if I've been here since they got the new stadium, so it'll be a first for me.
Todd, I know you
Couple
said you
more?
didn't want to name captains. It might happen a little bit later into the season. What's the rationale behind waiting to name the captains as the season gets rolling versus getting that out of the way before the season?
Since everybody wasn't here in the spring, you want to see how everybody gels together, and then you want to wait a while before you make a decision because the other guys are still getting to know everybody, and you want to make a rational decision. So we're going to wait for a little while.
Todd, with regards to Shaq Barrett's recovery, I know we'll have to wait and see him play an entire game and maybe several games, but can you just speak to what you've seen so far from the limited preseason snaps he played and training camp as well in terms of making a complete recovery?
I didn't see him much early on. The last preseason game, I saw flashes of the old Shaq. He was quicker than normal. His pass drops were good. His pass rush was good, and that was a positive sign. And he's walking around with a smile, so that's a good sign for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Baker should be here momentarily.